And so, and I can't tell you how many times when we take on a client, we basically undo all of these allocations and crap. I always like to say I'm an avid anti-allocator because allocations is just a jobs program for accountants. It
Yep.
accomplishes literally nothing. And so we believe in a pure play of looking at your cost of operations relative to the margin that gets created of either what I produce or what I sell. And it is a much cleaner way of looking at it, I believe. And so we've
So
had some really good
so
success.
so just to clarify this in an example, so if we were a widget manufacturer, we
Mhm.
would be looking at our gross margin we make, which is, we have our revenues, we have our physical costs of making the widget,
Right.
and then that would be like our gross margin. And then we would have production or production labor would
Production
be the
labor. Yep.
next line.
Mhm.
And so you would separate it in that way. So it's gross
Right.
margin before labor and then after labor.
Right.
And then we would get into our overheads, administrative, whatever else you would call it at that level.
Right. Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And now,
Hard, hard
if you're,
isolation. I got it. Yep.
yeah, and then most of, when you're building, when you're manufacturing stuff that turns over relatively, 12 times a year, I'm essentially making it and selling it at roughly the same pace.
Yep.
That doesn't create a problem. In the old
But
days, you
when you
would
got
have a
one of these,
big
yeah.
buildup of
Yep.
inventory and then release. You got to look at some other techniques to kind of do inventory valuation, concepts with that. But what I find is when we've deconstructed those things, we've given people a different view of the true productivity of their teams. And you're not always running the race at the same time. When every time I go play golf, I don't shoot the same score. I have a personal best that I'm
Right.
trying to beat every time I tee
Yep.
it up. But sometimes I shoot 15 strokes over my personal best. Okay, well, guess what? That's the world of business every day. And I've got
Yep.
to know, I got to be able to keep score of when those things are happening. And when I become an over allocated environment, I've smoothed out the bumps in the road to
What do you
where I
mean
can't feel it.
over-allocated? What does that mean, over-allocated?
It means I'm taking everything and becoming so moment to moment smooth of timing differences of overhead allocation, labor allocation, and all those kind of things. I'm not feeling that when am I underproducing and
Got
when
it.
am I
I got it.
straining, to deal with it.
When you get overly sophisticated financials and allocate it too much, because basically, and lots
Yeah,
of, public or even private equity backed companies, they want things to look smooth.
that's
They
right.
want
They
things
do.
to look smooth and consistent. So is what you're saying is there's exercises you can do to do that, but then you lose some
Absolutely.
of your insight and perspective.